All right, we are live on YouTube. Welcome everybody to the JPF May 2021. I think that's the first time this year I've gotten that wrong. General meeting. We have a solid list of guest speakers for you tonight, who I will introduce in just a few minutes. But I'd like to start just with a couple general announcements and comments. First, a huge thank you to everyone who came out to support the neighborhood's Earth Day cleanups, especially Frank Sworth and Andrea Wapple, who led the charge at Jefferson Park, and Marie and Sam, who led the charge at Lips and Amesley. One of the reasons I joined JPF was because so many of the members volunteer, and that was something I wanted to do. And I'm super pumped to see it continuing even through a pandemic. So now that summer's coming, I encourage everyone to get out there on your own, with your family, with your friends. And if you see an area that needs a little TLC, have at it. Every little bit helps. As summer approaches and we move closer to a hopefully kind of post-pandemic world, JPF leadership is evaluating when the right time is to return to in-person meetings and events. Factors may include, member comfort level, current public health guidelines, our ability to continue to provide a virtual option. So after our guest speakers tonight, I'll take a poll to gauge your thoughts about in-person events in June. We'll probably follow that up with an email survey. So if you're not already signed up for our emails, you can do that at jeffersonparkforward.org by scrolling to the bottom of any page and entering your information in the sign up for our newsletter section. We usually send only like 1 or 2 emails a month, so we won't clutter up your inbox. With that, I would like to start introducing some of our guest speakers. First up, we have Teresa Chandler from the Cook County Assessor's Office, and some of her team are here as well. You'll meet them later. Teresa has worked at the Cook County Assessor's Office for 22 years and currently serves as a community outreach strategist in the communications department. She's responsible for educating Cook County taxpayers at the local level by facilitating assessment seminars and providing answers to questions relating to property valuations, assessment appeals, and exemptions. Prior to serving as a community outreach strategist, Teresa worked as a commercial analyst and was responsible for reviewing assessment appeals and determining assessment values. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Teresa. The floor is yours.
Well, you made me sound so important. That sounds so good. And so I really appreciate that. And I am Teresa Chandler, and it's just wonderful to be here. I am working currently right now in the communications department. With me tonight is Hector Dominguez. So if you have any questions during my presentation, please drop them in the chat box, and Hector will be answering all the questions from the chat box. The Cook County Assessor is Fritz Kagi, and he thanked you all for allowing us to come and be in your homes here tonight with you. And so he gives his regards and so he thanked you as well. Also, I believe my Director of Community Outreach and Engagement, Calvin Harris, he's here with us tonight as well. So we thank you all for having us here. So I'm going to get started because I know we have a great lineup and I don't want to take a whole bunch of your time. So without further ado, let's get started. It may look like I think I'm going to Trent. Are you going to share it? Can I share my screen?
You should be able to share now.
Oh, I don't see the.
You know what? I'm going to check.
Can I now?
There you go.
All righty, here we go.
You're up.
Okay. Okay, can you see that, everyone? Great. So maybe look like if I'm looking up, but I actually have 2 computers and a monitor above. So I'm going to look up a little bit because it's larger. And of course I wear glasses. And so I need to see a larger picture, The Cook County Assessor's Office, what is our responsibilities? Our responsibilities is that we set fair and accurate values on 1.9 million parcels. I remember a couple of years ago, we used to say 1.8 million parcels, but now it's 1.9 million parcels throughout Cook County. And these values are based on a mass appraisal system versus an individual system. So, and this is the way we put fairness into our entire processing system. In addition to that, we administer property tax savings exemptions, okay? Now, what are exemptions? Exemptions actually save you money. I look at an exemption or you as a discount. It's something that saves you money. It reduces the equalized assessed value of your home. It helps to lowering your property tax bills. All exemptions appear on your second installment bill. And one thing I want to mention right now is that the Cook County Assessor's Office, we're closed, okay, to the public for the safety and health of you and our office. However, we will be resuming and taking in-person visits because we want to see your smiling faces and we can't wait to see you. So we will be opening soon and the dates will be posted on our website. All right. Now, the type of exemptions we have in our office are, and that we offer, okay, and there's 8 of them or more, yeah. So we have the homeowner's exemption, the senior exemption, which you have to be 65. I don't see any seniors out here, as I can tell by the pictures. We don't have any seniors. I wish you had invited some seniors, but you must be 65 years old. And also we have the senior freeze exemption. And if you qualify for the senior exemption, the only requirement with the senior freeze is that the household gross income must be less than $65,000. We have the persons with disability exemption. To receive this exemption, you must be disabled, possibly Social Security disability, or the doctor has deemed you disabled. We have a form that you can fill out. It's called the P-Tax 343. The doctor feels that your physician fills this form out, you can apply for the disabled person's exemption. Now, take in mind, you can have about 4 exemptions. You can have the homeowners, the senior freeze, and the persons with disability exemption, okay? We also have the returning veterans exemption. Now, this is returning veterans. We mean that not a person that was actually in like World War II, like my dad, but actual war returning from active duty, okay? Recent war, all right? And like I said, not World War II or anything like that, but recent war, if there was one. So that's for returning veterans. The veteran with disability, in order to qualify for the veterans with disability, you must have a service-connected disability, injured in the war, okay, while on duty, service-connected, 30% or greater. If you're 70% or higher, you're exempted from property taxes, okay? You cannot have the returning veterans exemption and the veteran with disability at the same time, all right? And then we have what we call the long time exemptions. The long time exemption, there's 3 requirements, and oftentimes people believe that they qualify automatically because they lived in their house over 10 years, because that's one of the requirements. The second requirement for the long time exemption is that your household income must be less than $100,000, and that's gross income combined. And you, your spouse, significant other, combined, children's, everyone's income in the house in order to receive the long time exemption. Now, only 11,000 parcels actually received the letters because they qualified. But if you believe that you qualify, you know there's room for error, and we will make changes if we made a mistake. If you believe that you qualify for this exemption, please call our office and we can check and see if you qualifies, okay? And also we have the home improvement exemption. Once you file a permit on your home, say you're adding a dormer to your home, then we send out a inspector. They would deem if this is a home improvement or this is a remodeling, and does it qualifies for a home improvement, okay? Exemption. Now, as I stated, on your second installment bill, all exemptions are on the second installment bill. It's always on your lower left-hand corner where it says tax calculator. If you live in a home and you're qualified, you should see a dollar amount shown here in this box, this red little box here. It says tax calculator. How do you calculate your homeowners? You take 10,000 times your tax rate. So that's just one way. That's how you count, and that's the only way. You take 10,000 times the tax rate. How to calculate your seniors, I'm just giving you a little pointers. Wasn't in my presentation, but I want to give them to you. How to calculate your senior exemptions to find out how much you're going to save if there's any seniors on here is that you take 8,000 times the tax rate, okay? Now, to calculate the senior freeze is a little bit more complicated, and I'm not an analyst and I'm not familiar with how they calculate it, but I know that it has to do with your equalized assessed value and when you first applied. So I just want to give you some information on how to calculate your homeowners and your senior exemption, okay? And all of your exemptions are always found on your second installment bill. So this year, our office, because of the pandemic and for the safety of you in our office, we automatically renewed many of our exemptions based on the information that we have from your prior year's exemptions. And one way to find out which exemptions you qualified for last year, you can also go to our website, or you can go to cookcountypropertyinfo.com. Type in your address or your property index number, and it will give you something, your status, your history, your exemption history of what you applied for over the various years. And it's going to look something like this screen here. All right. And I'm going to tell you, like, besides our office, we have the most phenomenal website. We have the best website. I'm going to say this is second. Okay. And it's very helpful. Most of it, items that are in blue, you can click on it. It will provide you with more information. But here we're concerned about the exemption history and which exemptions you applied for. Okay. So you can always go here and find out your exemptions, your tax rate, how much is your tax bills due, and things of that nature. If there's a refund available, it's a great website. As I stated, the Cook County Assessor's website is phenomenal and number one for sure. Now, all exemptions, the filing date was April 9th, 2021. Currently, we are still accepting applications, and all of our exemptions you would apply online, okay? So let's just say you're missing a property tax exemption. And Maggie, you failed to apply for your exemptions back in 2017. You didn't know to apply for your exemptions because you're a new homeowner. But the prior person that you purchased a house from had a homeowner's exemption, and no one told you about it. Well, we can go back and provide you with refunds. And those are called certificate of errors, all right? So you will fill out a form on our website, homeowner certificate of error, senior certificate of error. And we actually, once you fill it out, you apply, we send you a certificate of error. The Cook County Treasurer's Office will send you the refund money. It takes 90 days from the first day of processing to the end. The checks comes right in the mail. So if you qualify for your 2017 and 18 and 19, you will receive separate checks for each year. And that's with all of our exemptions. We can apply those refunds to you, okay? Now I'm gonna stop and pause just for a minute. I know we have other speakers, but if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat box because I know I'm going pretty fast and I don't want you all to miss anything or me to, I'm speeding a little bit, I believe, but I want you to get it. And if you have questions, please drop them because Hector's there waiting. So I want to talk a little bit about the Cook County Triennial Reassessment. And this is called the Reassessment Appeal Sessions. And it's triennial because it's every 3 years. What we do, we value your house. We look at it every 3 years. Right now, we're in the city of Chicago, of course, and this is the powder blue area. You were last assessed in 2018. You will be reassessed in 2021, which is this year. Now, I always look at this map as like riding a tricycle. So I live in the city as well. I live in Lake Township. And so the whole city, we have that front wheel of the tricycle. So we're in the lead. And our houses will be reassessed this year. So what does that mean? That means that the Cook County Assessor's Office is going to make comparables to your home, like properties to your home, on a mass appraisal system. We're going to look at your home to determine the value of your home. And that's all we do. We don't raise your taxes or anything like that. We just put a value on your home, okay? And if you disagree, you can always appeal. And I'm going to get into that. And you have 30 days to file an appeal with our office, all right? So when it's the reassessment time, what happens is our office will send you a letter, such as the diagram, the white and gray or the white and black picture here. You will receive what you would call a reassessment notice, okay? Now, this reassessment notice will have some valuable information on it. It would have your property characteristics. Now, this is our newer reassessment notice. We've making some changes, and it's probably going to change a little bit more. Our old reassessment notice in 2018 had a picture of your home on there, but we don't have to do that anymore because we're getting updated and we're finding we have more information about your property. Okay, so you will receive this letter, and also it will reflect not only your characteristics, but the various years that your house, your property characteristics. Is going to have your repeal of results. Have all of that on here, okay? It's also going to have the deadline for you to file an appeal, okay? And as I stated, it's going to have, let's see here, your market value of your home, okay? For the last 3 years, so 17, 18, and 19, or 19, 20, and 21. It's going to have all of those years, or whatever years that you're being reassessed, it's going to have those various years. But most importantly, the deadline, okay? So once your reassessment notice are mailed, your assessed value will be reflected on your second installment property tax bill. Your second installment property tax bill is this yellow bill here. Everything is shown on your second installment bill. Everything, your exemptions, your appeal results, your certified assessed value, all of that is always on your second installment bill. We get many questions stating, my exemption wasn't on my bill, and that was the first bill. That's the blue bill. But all of your exemptions are on your second installment bill. And all of your results from your appeal filing will be on your second installment bill. So if you file an appeal and you win the appeal, it will be reflected on your second installment bill 18 months later. Let me just get that out, okay? So what are some of the reasons why people file an appeal? Number one, uniformity. Okay, lack of uniformity. Number two, overvaluation. And let me just go back when we say lack of uniformity. That's if Miss Maria has purchased a house and it's a one-story brick home. And also Miss Maggie has the same type of home, but their assessed values are totally different. Same developer, same age, comparables to comparables, orange to orange, but something is wrong, okay? That means that there's lack of uniformity, okay? So Miss Maria would definitely want to file an appeal because everything is the same. Now, what exactly is overvaluation? Overvaluation is exactly what's stated. You believe that your property is overvalued. Why? Because you have an appraisal, a recent appraisal, or you have comparable sales that shows that your property is overvalued compared to other properties. The third one is incorrect property description. We say that you live in a mansion and you actually live in a two-story home. You live in a one-story home, but we have you living in a three-story building. So that's incorrect property description. Sometimes people want to even say, well, I don't have a garage. If you want to file an appeal, if the garage is in area, you may want to file an appeal. But if it doesn't affect your assessed value, you may not want to file an appeal. You don't have to file an appeal, okay? Even though it's free and you don't need an attorney, because what we're doing is getting it right the first time. We're trying to get it right the first time. However, we do need your help, all right? So there's some things that you need to know before you file an appeal online. And remember, it's free. You don't need an attorney. And I'm sorry if there's any attorneys here online, but you don't need one because all of our information is on our website. And if you can't find it on our website, you can always call us and we can assist you in how to file an appeal online. So, free again, you're going to need your email address. And it's best to start your filing when your township is open. You have 30 days. And drafting, you can save and modify it, and you can upload attachments to your appeal. Now, you can also find comparable properties on our Cook Viewer interactive mapping, all right, which is on our website as well. However, as a prior analyst, I know that our analysts would definitely look for comps for you. So our office is going to be presenting a new comparable feature that's coming out to assist you in filing your appeal and making it much, much easier and friendlier for you to file an appeal and find comparable properties in your area. And once you file your appeal, your results will be sent by post mail and not email, okay? Even though you filed online. So, one thing is very important. If I live in Lake Township, I definitely want to know when the dates for me to file my appeal. And if you live in Jefferson Township, you definitely want to find out. So what happened? You can also go to our website and our assessment calendar. It shows your assessment dates that your township will be open, okay? Assessment calendar and deadlines. And right now, you can look and see when your township is open. And if you see TBD, the dates are to be determined. But we are working to get everything rolling and processed. In some towns, we have closed already. Now, as I stated, to find comparable properties, right now, it would look something like this that's on this laptop right here, okay? It's called Cook Viewer. It's interactive mapping, all right? So you can find your comparable properties here, and it's found on our website. As I stated, we're coming out with a new feature that's going to generate comparable properties within seconds. Alrighty, and lastly, I want to talk about how to upload some documents. Now, Ryan may want to compare his, he may have additional PIN numbers. His PIN number may end in 001, and he also has a vacant lot next door. So he has an additional PIN. He wants to add an additional PIN. This is where you would attach your additional PIN, okay? Do not attach comparable properties where it says additional PINs here circled in red. That's if you have two property index numbers for your property, okay? Now, if you have additional information that you want to provide, you would attach it here where it says attachments, okay? So additional PINs is for additional PINs if you have two PIN numbers for your property. And attachments is for pictures, appraisals, anything, a narrative, any type of information that you want to provide with your appeal, okay? And that's for your attachment. And this is the end of my presentation. I would like for you all to follow us on social media. We're on all social media, and you can always call us or email us, and we will answer your questions through email or by phone. If you just drop us a call, we'll answer. We've been answering all the calls through the pandemic. Our office never shut down, maybe to the public, but we never stopped running. Our office has been here to help, and we're here to help you. And I want to thank you for allowing me to present my presentation.
Thank you so much. That was a lot, but it made a lot of sense. So thank you so much. I think that Hector got all the questions we had in the chat, maybe. If not, if anyone wants to repost those or raise your hand now. Good stuff. I'm not seeing anyone's hands up. Am I missing anybody? You can go ahead and unmute if I am.
And I want to thank you all again. The Cook County Assessor Fritz Kagi thanks you all too. And you know, I know it's a lot, but if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help, and we want to help. And I know that it's a lot. And if you think that you want to talk to me personally, Megan, you have my email address. You can reach through Michelle. And so I could provide my work number, and we can discuss your property individually as well.
That's awesome. All right, I think we got everybody. So if I'm going to end, oh, you already did it for me.
Yep.
Screen chat. And I just wanted to give a double thank you to the Cook County team, this Cook County Assessors team. We had a snafu with the Zoom link last month, and they were stuck in a waiting room that I had no idea existed. And they were gracious enough to come back this month and share with us. So much appreciated. So with that, I'm going to introduce you all to Alyssa Jeffries. Alyssa Jeffries is a neighbor of ours, I believe, from Norwood Park. Correct me if I'm wrong. And she works with Lasagna Love, which is, I believe, a national group. And they're a nonprofit that matches families that could use a little help with home cooks in the community so they can spread a little love with lasagna. They've also helped partnered with the Jefferson Park Working Group on Homelessness to provide some meals to our neighbors experiencing homelessness near or at the transit center. And we're going to continue that relationship, and we're very grateful for it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Alyssa. She does not have slides, so it might make sense for you to change your view to speaker view or not. But with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Alyssa.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the invitation to come and speak today. As Maggie mentioned, I am with Lasagna Love. I am both a board member. I am on their fundraising side of the board, and then also here locally in Chicago, focus on the outreach. So really trying to get out in the community and connect with volunteers and families. But a little bit of background on Lasagna Love. So we started back in May of 2020. And it was founded by a mom out in San Diego who posted on social media. She was going to make some extra pans of lasagna, thought maybe she could help a neighbor, figured she'd make a couple pans, drop them off, and that would be that. A year later, there now are 20,000 chefs cooking across the country. And as of last week, had made 70,000 pans of lasagna for their neighbors. So it's been wildly, grown very quickly, very much a grassroots kind of movement, though, of word of mouth and through Facebook and things like that. So it's been really great to see. So here in the city, locally in Chicago, we started around October of last year in 2020, just a handful of volunteers that kind of heard about it through some media opportunities and started volunteering. And now, 6-8 months later, we have about 300 volunteers in Chicago and 18 chefs that are here kind of in the Northwest side, Jefferson, Norwood Park area. So, and then even more when we go out, close by Park Ridge, Norridge, that area, and even further out into the suburbs. So it's really been great to see how the sense of community has been built here. It's just really a neighbors connecting with neighbors kind of a nonprofit, and how can we help out, someone maybe down the block or, on the other side of the city. One of the great things that I really love about the organization, though, from a volunteer standpoint, is it's, something I can do from my own kitchen and make a pan of lasagna and connect with someone down the block or driving across the city, as I mentioned. And so each week, families can sign up for a meal for whatever the reason. We don't have any requirements. There's no financial requirements or, food. I mean, obviously food insecurity and financial issues are a lot of the reason that people do sign up, but it's not a requirement of any means. I mean, life is stressful, and maybe it's a new baby, maybe it's a medical issue, maybe it's just life is crazy and you could use a night off to have a break. So whatever the reason is, we are here and happy to help. And so the families sign up, and then our fancy computer algorithm matches them with a local volunteer. So the volunteers commit to how far they're willing to travel, and then the algorithm, makes it happen to connect them with someone in their neighborhood. And then they work together and, arrange a time for contactless. Usually we'll, just drop it on the porch, send you a text message, let you know that there's a hot lasagna out there ready to eat. And that's that. So it's pretty simple. And, it's a great way to connect with neighbors and make a difference, and do it while you're cooking in your kitchen. I'll say my husband usually complains because I make lasagna for other people and not for us, but sometimes we'll have an extra pan. And then, as Maggie had mentioned, I mean, the majority of our meals are delivered directly to the homes of neighbors, but we have been lucky enough to partner with some organizations or other groups to provide larger. We did 2 weeks ago, we did 60 pans to Erie neighborhood house and dropped them off. Then they were able to distribute them out to the families that they work with. So been able to connect with a lot of wonderful organizations in addition to the individual meals that we've been able to connect. And I see someone asked about other items besides lasagna. So that has been the main focus, but we have kind of broken out of the lasagna world more recently. Partially because of some dietary needs and dietary restrictions. So working with, gluten allergies and dairy allergies and things like that to do vegan dishes and things like that. But then also, some people don't like lasagna. So kind of working through, depending on what the volunteer makes, some people will make like shepherd's pies or different, really open to anything. And I think, with depending on what your specialty dish is, I guess we can make it. Let me see, there's one other question. And then can you make just one? So someone can request a meal once a month for a meal to be delivered. And then it's a 30-day window till they can request another meal. But yeah, and somebody asked about donating. So if you donate on our website, it does go to the national program, which does help with outreach as a whole. If you would want to donate locally, you can connect with Maggie and she can connect you with me. I would say the easiest way to donate would be items like we have sauce and pans and noodles and things like that. So the purchase of more of the grocery items. And then typically what I do is work with the other chefs in the neighborhood to have a day that they can come pick up, a pack of supplies to make their next round of pans of lasagna. So, but I will put in the chat the link. So the website is lasagnalove.org. And there is up at the top, the volunteer link or the request. The one other thing I will mention, you can also nominate someone for a meal. So if you know of a friend or family member going through a hard time, you can always nominate them. And then it sends them a message saying, hey, we thought this might be a way to help take a load off. And then they can sign up that way as well. So yeah, so let me send these links. And I see there's a few other questions. Let me just read these really quick. So how often do volunteers usually cook? The one great thing is in our volunteer portal, you can do it one time and be done. You can do it weekly, monthly. You can sign up for how many pans you want to make too. I've sort of realized if I'm messing up the kitchen, I can make 3 pans or 1 pan. It doesn't really matter. So you can kind of change that variable in the system, which is really nice to do whatever works for your schedule as well. So that's been really nice. I think that's it. Yeah, and I'll share the list of items and kind of the basic supplies as well. And I can include my contact info as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I have the main link in there already, the lasagnalove.org. But yeah, anything else you want to share, go pop it in there and we'll copy it too. And we'll be able to share that in our next newsletter. And if you guys grabbed or got emailed the last JPF newsletter, we had Lasagna Love and all those links in there too.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you.
I'm so happy to share what you guys are doing. I really love that it could be for anything, you know. So I think, do we have any hands up? Any other questions? All right, it looks like we are good. Thank you so much, Alyssa. I appreciate you and everything that Lasagna Love is doing. That the hookup you guys did for the working group on homelessness was really solid, and we'll be in touch again soon.
Great. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So with that, our next speaker is Lionel Robb. You may remember him. He was here a couple months ago to discuss the Northside Cultural District. He's back tonight in a different capacity as president of the Jefferson Memorial Park Advisory Committee. He's just going to give us a quick little update on some hopeful possible discussions going on right now about some potential improvements to the park. And with that, I'll hand it over to you, Lionel.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Great to see everyone. So I'll just do a quick update. First, I want to thank everyone who participated in the survey. We, as many folks probably read, heard all sorts of stuff about a potential turf field opportunity for Jefferson Park. The PAC really was asked to participate in a meeting with everyone, with the board, at least from this organization, JPF and the Park District. And really it said, like, honestly, we really haven't had an opportunity to talk with the community and figure that out and get some feedback. And the JPF, JPF, and, the Park District not taking an opinion necessarily was, really open. And the Alderman's office was really open to, like, going out to the community and figure that out. And so the survey was the genesis of that meeting that many of you saw. There will be a follow-on survey for a broader community context. We really wanted to get some just initial feedback on the however many ideas there were. I should know that off the top of my head. There's probably 11 or 12, and additional comments that we may have missed, to really just first gauge feasibility with the Park District and the city and the Alderman's office around utilization of funds to make sure they can even be applied to these projects before we just open it up to a super big conversation with everyone. So the feedback was great. We just got done with the results and collated them. The really great feedback and responses. We did end up with about 75 responses. We're going to be presenting them tomorrow. I believe there's going to be 4 or 5 representatives from JPF at a meeting tomorrow with the Park District and JPF and the Alderman's office to sort of discuss the results. And then figure out from there, we're going to formally transfer them over to the Park District to see what is feasible in their minds and start understanding what are the potential costs, because they're going to know far better than us. Once we get that sort of information back, we will have, I think, a broader community survey with the input from the Park District and the city, and then host a larger community meeting, and then hopefully be able to execute on some of the projects. It's really exciting, as everyone has said many times. This is not a funding commitment from anyone, so I don't want anyone to get too excited. But we might be really fortunate to really reallocate some dollars to needed improvements for our park. All the feedback we received was, it was really great and interesting. Again, we're going to go through it, but the highlights were what everyone sort of expected was the air conditioning, ADA compliance, and getting the Isidore House back in use, right? So those are the top 3, guys. The field improvements were 4, which is great. We did talk with CPD. There are some opportunities to put some drainage in that field, flatten the field, and put some different material down and make it more usable for sports. It was very good. And so again, nothing is completely committed to. It is just an open community dialogue. The Alderman's been really good about the conversation and supporting it. CPD's been good. They've been supplying some folks to help us understand what can and can't be done. And the community feedback's been really positive. So we're going to hope to try to keep it moving. And after we sort of get through the meeting tomorrow and the next, get some feedback, we'll be hosting an advisory council meeting after we get the final results from the broader community meeting to, open it up for a final round of discussion. So I don't have a timeline on when all this will take place, but I'll happily share it tomorrow, or you'll hear it tomorrow from CPD and the alderman's mouth around what we can expect and how it could work and whatever. I will attempt to answer any questions. Larry seems to want the kind of plaza in Portage. Why port money from Portage Park to Jeff Park to build our future? We want it. Pete, I can't answer the porting of money question because I have no idea if there is any porting of money or how that porting of money may work, and whether any of this money actually exists. So as I said, like we sort of all, read it and heard that this field may be occurring or happening potentially. Our concern, honestly, that we heard from the community and our own concern is that the plan we saw would have knocked out a majority of the green space in our park. It would have taken over 50% of the green space. So we stood up around that and said, whoa, let's talk about this. Then it got into a broader conversation just about just about what we could do and if this was really an opportunity to try to address some of this. So Patty, so the prior comment about the spokesperson there, I don't know if you're commenting about how the article made it to NADIG. The alderman did mention that he did actually ask NADIG to run that article. And then have you heard? No, actually, Patty, I have no idea, honestly, where the demand for the field came from. It was asked, we asked about it in the meeting. There had been talks about these fields in various locations. I believe Bovian has a version of one. I don't know if Frank's on, but the PAC did go and talk to some of the other parks who have these fields. There's a positive aspect to these fields in really large parks where you're not giving something up, is what we learned, right? So if you're Reese and you've got an unlimited space and you're gonna build schools and things on your park, throw an athletic field in there while you're at it, because there's no effect on the green space, right? I mean, there is, don't get me wrong. I mean, personally, I'd rather keep grass if we could, but if there was a big driving need from organizations to use the sports and they needed an extra field and for all these other reasons that these fields are good, awesome. The problem with Jefferson Park is it's super small if you really compare it to anywhere, and it would have destroyed the green space, along with, we have a forestry building on the back that we have no control over. I mean, CPD does, but like as a community, like we can't use that space. We got the Isidore House on the front, which is awesome, but we can't use it. So if we put this plastic field in, we would be a service park with no grass. So it wasn't definitely not the PAC, and it definitely, I don't think it really came from the community. I think honestly, in our conversations we had with the city and the park and the alderman, and I think there was just some fear that money would get lost, and there was a notion of how can we possibly apply it, how can we benefit the park. And Wilson Park's getting an enhancement with their new water feature and some other improvements. Portage has constant improvements happening. And Jeff Park, just honestly, we haven't had any significant improvements in, man, it's since the play line. I mean, the PAC got the abatement done on the building from a lead perspective, but we've been really pushing to get air conditioning for the symphony. We've been doing small beautification projects, but something like this could be a game changer. And I honestly, from the PAC's perspective, we are having a really positive dialogue with the Park District, the Alderman's office, and the community about it. So we're optimistically positive, but we've all been around too long to count any chickens before they hatch. So, but yeah, so I don't know where it came from. Sorry for the long diatribe, but that's the update. It was really interesting. We got a lot of great feedback. I don't know, but really thoughtful answers on the comments about how to really stretch dollars around, we don't need pickle cords, we can draw lines, and other pieces to the puzzle that were really helpful and thoughtful. And it's actually interesting input, and it really does feel like it really feels like good community voice. And I look forward to a broader conversation with more community members, and I appreciate JPF and JPNA's efforts to sort of help get information out faster and up to folks to help make decisions. So yeah, the one that was the last on the list, which I hope to get the CDOT city to fix, is the dip at the end of the driveway. So, I mean, I think if we all drive, we all hate it, but it's not a priority from a programmatic perspective, but it did make the list. It was mentioned. So we will release these, once we get them prettied up, and so they'll go out tomorrow at the meeting, and you guys will have them. And so that will be the beginning of the genesis of a bigger conversation. So, any other questions I can answer?
I don't see any, and I don't see any hands up. But I want to say, like, once you share after the meeting, once we hit the JPF leadership has the survey results in hand, we're happy to pass them along and share. I think I forgot to send an email before today, but I will send an email after to make sure everyone's aware of what the survey results are.
Yeah. And honestly, like any amount, like if we can pick off at 5, 2, 1, I mean, we get one of these, it's great. But if we can get like half of this list, I mean, some of this stuff with, maintenance budgets and some match dollars from this money, and the PAC can raise some money, like it would feel like a new park. I mean, it would be a big update for us, and it would really support, I think you guys know, but we have one of the largest kids park operations for the summer camp programs. And I think, they opened up enrollment for the park, and, we have regularly hundreds of kids there. So like to get some of these improvements underway would be huge. From a meeting perspective, we are going to tiptoe and try a smaller in-person meeting tomorrow. The alderman was interested in that and having sort of the discussion at the park field. So we'll let you know how it goes. It's going to be really interesting, I got to tell you. And then we'll, from there, we'll, if we're going to come up with some alternate plans just in case we have any challenges with that. But the larger community meeting will probably still be on Zoom, just because, we want to make sure that we can get as much folks into that conversation as possible. So, yeah, I want to thank you guys again. It was really great, and we appreciate your thoughts and support and participation. I assume that it will not be open to public then. Which will not be open to public? The in-person? Yeah, you can come by. I don't care. I mean, if you're part of JPF, like, I mean, it's the challenge is we don't know, as much as we say, hey, send few reps, whatever. I don't know how many people show up because it is a public meeting. We're trying to manage like distance, and we're trying to also make sure people can hear each other. You're going to get the survey results and sort of thoughts on it. It's really just a question of, from the parks perspective, what is, and back to sort of Pete's question, sort of, is what can this money be spent for? The building as a national registered building, what can we actually do? Let's air all that out so that we don't put something out in the public that is just completely not doable. And then I get, a big egg in my face for saying that this is the ideas. So first, we're collecting the ideas to gauge feasibility. So tomorrow is just like, hey, this is what people are saying. CPD, what can we really do? Is this money applicable? That's what we're going to go through. And then we're going to announce all of it. So, but yeah, so cool. Awesome.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Dover, was that you on 91.5 today? Sorry, I'm assuming that may be a yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was me.
Okay.
I confess to speaking up for the kids because I've talked to over 100 high school kids so far, and every single one of them wants to go back to school. And I feel this is ridiculous with where they don't want to open up the schools. I feel that the kids are really suffering, especially the teenagers. You can't lock up teenagers in one room for a whole year and expect them to come out unscathed on the other end of it. My daughter went from being a straight A student to being a straight F student. And it's just been, I don't recognize my kid. I mean, it's just been horrible. So I feel somebody needs to speak up. Somebody needs to speak up. My daughter actually asked, Mom, I want to go back to school. I'm like, how many teenagers do you know that ask to go back to school? But that's what all the teens are asking me. They're like, yeah, start calling. I called Pritzker. I called Tammy Duckworth. I called Durbin. I called everybody on the list for my representatives because they have to do what's good for everybody, not just for the teachers union.
Yep. I only know one Dover at Jefferson Park. So when I heard you talking, so, all right, I apologize. So if there's any other questions, happy to answer them. I'm sure that JPF will send something out after tomorrow and we'll keep the ball moving forward, and fingers crossed. I think if we all work together, I think we can, get it done. And I think it's a great opportunity to get some improvements to our immediate local park in Jefferson Park. So, and again, when I was asked about Portage and other parks, I said, hey, I support all parks, but honestly, we haven't had improvements in a long time. And I'm the head of this pack, so I gotta support our park first. So I'm sorry for people from other neighborhoods, but that's what I was sent to do. So thank you guys, and always available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Lionel. You're awesome. We appreciate it.
See you.
All right. Thanks, Lionel. Okay. Last, but certainly not least, we are going to hear from Meryl Miller. She and her team of dedicated volunteers have been working since January to try and figure out a safe way that doesn't impede any walkways or ability to have space or all these other complicated issues because of a market and a pandemic. So she's got the final plans together and she's here to share those with us. So I'm going to hand it over to Meryl.
Hi, thank you, Maggie. And Maggie knows well about all those behind the scenes kind of plans because she's been in on them. And so thank you to you and also Patty, who have been helping out a great deal, not only this year, but last year when we did the drive-through market over at Six Corners, because that was craziness. Because as I talked about at Patty's show yesterday, we literally had all of the stuff in place, permits and all that, and several of the vendors already signed, sealed, and ready to go for last year's market when everything went into lockdown. And we had to pivot, figure out what to do and where we could be. And it was crazy, as we all know. But this year, looking at the stuff that we were facing, especially back in January, when we were like, okay, what do we do this year? And there's surges, and we might have to do drive-through anyway, and blah, blah. So a lot of you already know we're going to be doing a market over at Irish American Heritage Center. And that's really strange sounding, I'm sure, to a lot of people, but there's a lot of good reasons why. First and foremost, like I said, we started planning back in January. We didn't know if maybe we needed to allow for a drive-through option. So that's doable there. Walkthrough is doable there. Anything basically that we normally would do is possible there. And there's parking. So, it seemed like a win-win. Plus, they had no plans versus being at the park where, gosh, last year kids couldn't go to the play lot. I'm not going to shut that down for a half day. No. And all of the volunteers were on that same page, because if we need to, and I actually posted to our website and to the JPF page the link to the city guidelines that are still in place. Yes, I know if we're vaccinated, we don't have to worry about masks, all that. But city guidelines, as we found out last year as we were prepping for the market, are basically, the markets are the last thing they get to as far as reevaluating what we need to be worried about and, other considerations. So it's like when they finally get around to it, well, we'll adjust as we can. Hopefully we get to adjust and do a little bit more normal, but for now we're planning one-way traffic flow starting over on the Knox Avenue side, because that's actually the main address for the facility. So going with that, it was just the easiest thing. Exiting over on the Kilpatrick side. And then so part of the permitting process, I have to submit the traffic flow, like how people get to walk through the vendors. So, this is the craziness that we have right now. And again, hopefully people will be able to wander as they normally would like to, but for now, there's a plan that's in place. And the thing I've got sitting ready to go in the chat is a link to our website. So all the information, including the dates, starting with June 13th, are up on our website. They're also listed on our Facebook page. As I laugh at Rolando's cat walking across the screen, because cats. I also have the city guidelines link posted there. And I don't, I've been pretty close to daily updating the website as far as the vendors as they've been coming in and confirming that they'll be with us this season. So it's kind of a complicated thing because a lot of you are used to us having a lot of arts and crafts vendors. Well, when you're dealing with the city permits as they are right now, we can only have 25%. So, short math, for every 4 vendors, one of those can be arts and crafts. And going back and forth with my person who's been dealing with the meetings, because they're of course during my workday, so I can't go. But Kathy's been checking in, and so things like, I don't know, to me, Sam at Distinct Bath, he's a producer, but no, not according to the city, because it's not a consumable. So I have to watch my numbers. So in case anybody's wondering why that looks different than it has in the past, that would be why. Again, I'm hoping to include a lot more extra people that really provide that color, the kind of fun. But again, it's city rules and doing what we can with them. So I don't know if anybody's got any questions. I've already answered a lot of things on the JPF Facebook page. Like I said, I've been updating our website. Even as we sit here, in fact, there's now a new community help section, including Lasagna Love. So I don't know if Alyssa has seen her email because in case it's looked like I'm doing other things, that's what I've been doing, crazy stuff like that. Hey, I've got 3 monitors here. I might as well use them, right?
Right.
Anyway.
We've got one question in the chat, or a couple actually. Now I got to scroll back. What time does it start on Sunday?
It starts 9:30 a.m., goes to 1:30.
Don asked about streets over there are permit, and is that in play on Sunday? I think you mentioned it's across the street, right?
Well, anything that's immediately adjacent to the Heritage Center is open parking. So that's whatever. And unlike in previous years when we're at the park, and by the way, Lionel, have to say, we love the park. We want to be back there someday. I just, so complicated this year. But anyway, yeah, anything adjacent, that's free parking. The vendors, because we have to do the social distancing spacing, they're going to just have their vehicles with them because that allows that 10 feet in between right there. So might as well be there. On the other hand, south parking lot should be available for patron parking as well. So that gives us some options that we wouldn't actually have at the park. So make things a little bit easier. And people have been talking about biking over since it's a little further for some people. I'm thinking that bikes walking through the market is a wonderful thing. I have to think twice about dogs this year. We haven't figured that part out. So because we're going to be on asphalt, so that's not a friendly dog there's friendly surface for dogs necessarily. Plus, yeah, I listened to NPR this morning. There's whole new scariness, but anyway, looking at the link. Anything else?
little suggestion from Adam that I'll bring back to the chat, to the market volunteer chat, but he asked about thinking about local chefs and demos, like maybe from Community Gale or Tata's or something like that.
Which would be awesome, but right now, any performance kinds of things we can't do. Not until the guidelines are a little bit looser. I am already talking with, well, because we're at Heritage Center, the Trinity Dancers want to do a show because, you know, why not? And so I'm like, well, hopefully July 1st, they'll loosen things up at the very least. Maybe before then, we don't know, but.
Yeah, you can't do food in public right now at all.
Right.
It's the health department will come down on you like a ton of bricks.
Yes.
So
yeah, thank you for saying that, Dobra. And that's one of the things. It's, yeah, we'll have a couple of our regular vendors like Tamales Express, like the crepe people, but it's going to be order stuff and leave with it. So that's the rules right now. Best we can do. But as I found out very much last year, it's stuff like this that's keeping some of these people in business.
Yeah, they worked really hard over the pandemic to try and keep things going. Like, I know I had Stamper cheese delivered to my house a couple times, and I won't lie, when I got that email that said your cheese was on the way, I was super excited.
Yeah, how about?
And then they text you and say your cheese is on the porch.
Yeah, and poor Brett, because he's been struggling to keep up with all of the stuff. Because I had to like double check with him. I'm like, really? Are you coming? Come on, because you know people want their cheese, right?
Oh my God, that 8-year cheddar. Oh,
well, okay.
A simple girl.
Story about them, because they used to have like one weekend that they'd had to skip out on us because of another event that it's like, well, between our tiny little market and a food festival, you know, what do you choose, right? Well, there was this one weekend that was one of those weekends where I don't even know who they were. It was like a mother and 2 daughters. And the girls were literally crying because they couldn't get their cheese. And I
feel that.
Right? And I literally went and stood in their booth at another market. I was like, we need to talk. Because this happened and we can't let this happen again. So.
Nice. All right. I think we got everyone in the chat and I don't see any hands up. Did I miss anyone?
My shorts.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thanks, Meryl. Thanks to all of our speakers. That was an awesome lineup. I was pumped to have everyone. We're going to go real quick. I'm going to share. Actually, I don't need to share a screen because my slide just takes Katie's thunder. Katie, do you want to go ahead and tell us give us your finance report and our current numbers?
I needed this slide because I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, I got you. Hold on.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared.
All right. There you go.
All right. Okay. So we are holding steady. Our current balance is $9,349.20. We have a total of 130 current members, broken up into 100 regular, 4 associate, 25 business, and 1 nonprofit. And that's it.
All right. I'm just going to open up the floor to any of the other board members or committee chairs to discuss some things on. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put Don on the spot. You want to tell us about the May Business Partner Raffle and anything else you got going on?
Well, yes, I wanted to say that, yes, we are having a business partner raffle for May. Now, as things open up, obviously the raffle's been very valuable to help some of the local businesses during the shutdown. I can pretty easily come up with a total how many thousands of dollars we've helped out with the local businesses. But as things open up, coming June, we're going to put the raffle on hold for a bit, because hopefully things are open up. We can still go out to these restaurants and such, still patronize them. And we are looking to see, something that could maybe substitute a new form of a raffle, so to speak. We are looking at that.
Right on. And you know what, Meryl had mentioned, put something in the chat that she forgot to mention that she's still looking for sponsors. And I forgot to mention that we're going to be a sponsor. So, and if anyone else has the ability to be a sponsor, reach out to Meryl. All the contact information, I believe, is on their webpage. But yeah, like sponsoring it really helps get through. Remember, this is a completely volunteer-led event. There's a ton of work that goes into it. So if you have either time and or money, hook up your market so that we can make sure these vendors get a little back this summer.
And I might also add, be on the lookout, I'll probably be posting something within the next week with details of the June JPF walk. We had a fun one in May. It got a little damp, but it was still fun nonetheless. So keep an eye out for details of the May walk, for the June walk, I'm sorry.
Oh, cool. Christina, you got any? Oh, no, your hand's even up. Look, I was going to you next anyway. Have at it.
I've been listening to my kids' classes for too long. Raise your hand. Just a quick aside, we don't have dates for the social committee yet, but we are actually meeting next week and keep on the lookout for some in-person, smaller, that was so distracting, sorry. Some smaller events that are coming up. We're looking to start kind of easy outdoors in the summer. We'll see how things go and have some social events starting here again soon. So keep an eye on the committee page, or if you'd like to help, we would love the help. Always love help with the social committee. So feel free to check out the page and see when the meetings are and what we got going on. And if it's one project you want to help on, great. If it's one phone call, great. Or if you want to take on a big project and have some ideas, that would be awesome too. So keep an eye out for that. That's all.
Oh, cool. Anyone else? Mark, you got anything for us, or Ryan?
Yeah, I've got one. I've got an update from Clint at Lake Effect. He just kind of wanted to let everybody know what's going on behind the scenes. I'm sure you guys have all seen the murals up on the garage doors there. It doesn't look like anything's going on from the outside, but rest assured there's been a ton of activity on the inside. And a lot of that is related to the environmental cleanup. So pumping out the basement, cleaning up the lead and the asbestos. So that stuff's still going on. And also along with that, they're still coordinating the design and construction schedule across all 3 of the floors. So the plan is the brewery is going to open first, and then they're going to start doing construction on the apartments. Although, of course, some of that will go a little bit simultaneously. So they're still trying to figure out construction schedule while they're doing their environmental remediation. And the third kind of thing is Clint has got, apparently there's a moratorium on packaged goods in that location. And so he's been working with the city on getting that moratorium lifted so that he could directly sell packaged goods out of his storefront, new storefront. And then last, I'll just kind of, if anyone hasn't paid attention to the JPF Facebook page today, you may not be aware, but the old Fishman's location on Milwaukee, just south of Lawrence, had been sold about a year ago, and there's a development that will be happening shortly. It's kind of slipped under the radar because the development is happening by right, which means it doesn't require a zoning change, which means it doesn't need to go through like a formal public meeting or alderman's review process. So all we really know about it right now is that it's going to be a 4-story building with 9 apartment units and ground floor commercial space. And that's it for my little development update.
I got a couple of things to tag on. First, Adam has a couple good questions about that license thing. You want to go ahead, Adam?
Oh, sure. Why not? So the question is regarding the package thing that you mentioned. So there's a moratorium on that. Is that license-based, neighborhood-based, or neighborhood-based? Did he know?
It's neighborhood based.
Has he spoken to Danielle at the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild yet?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I know he's reached out to Alderman Gardner, and I don't know if he's talked to anybody else yet. That would be a good question.
I will reach out to Danielle and I'll reach out to Clint. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. I see in the chat question about an Irish pub in the bottom floor of Fishman's. Okay, so that would be what we would call the new Fishman's. So Fishman's used to be located on Milwaukee, 4780 or something like that, North Milwaukee. And then a couple of years ago, or maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, they moved to their Six Corners location, right in the Portage Theater building. So I was referring to development at the Jefferson Park spot. There is a Irish pub going into the most recent Fishman's location. It's called Gracie O'Malley's, and they that operator has 2 existing locations. One is in Wicker Park, I believe, and the other one's in Edgewater. I haven't been there, so I don't know a whole lot about either one of these places, but it is an experienced operator.
Cool. A couple quick updates on the Community Development Committee realm in addition to that. Thanks to Susie, who I think dropped off, but she organized an impromptu salon ripped from the headlines about the pros and cons of turf fields last weekend, and that was a lot of fun. Generally, the committee meets the second Wednesday of the month, and next month is a community meeting. We'll have some salons coming up in later months on topics including things we could do in programming a public alley and other cool community development topics. And Ryan continues to work on some mapping projects that we'll talk about at our June meeting, which is kind of fun if you're into that, GIS technology and mapping and community development around here, as well as a citywide master plan called We Will. There's some interest in community group participation we'll be talking about at some level in this committee as well.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, that We Will thing is pretty cool. I'm interested in, I wasn't able to make either of their introductory meetings, but a couple of JPFers did. So I'm looking forward to discussing it more. And if you haven't checked it out, I think the website is just wewill@chicago.gov, but I'm not 100%. All right. So anyone else got anything, board chairs or anyone else have anything for the good of the club? You know what? I did want to share the screen real quick since Mark mentioned the mapping. For those of you who weren't here at our last meeting, Ryan on our website has created a street cleaning map that's a little easier to understand than some of the information that's out there. So it's broken up into zones. The link is here. I'll go ahead and throw that in the chat in a second. But once you click on your zone, you're going to get like some really detailed information that makes it easier to like set up reminders and know when street cleaning is coming your way, especially if you're a block that like doesn't have trees or places for them to put the signs. This kind of stuff is really helpful. So I just wanted to give that a quick highlight and say thanks again to Ryan for creating that.
Thank you.
All right.
Creating more and more of those types of products with our software. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, then you'll want to attend our next community development committee meeting.
All right, I got one last thing, and Susie dropped off, but she has she and the Northwest Chicago Historical Society have graciously offered to help us curate an event. It may be one of our first ones back, hopefully mid to end of June. In the July 2020 edition of the Society's newsletter, they covered a wealth of information on segregation, specifically on the northwest side of Chicago. So Susie has offered to create a presentation and we'll facilitate a discussion after. Ideally, you know, we can do this maybe in the back of Windsor or somewhere else that we love and can get together. So speaking of that and getting together, I'm going to run a quick poll. You guys got to forgive me. This is my first poll that I've run on Zoom, and it's just 2 quick questions. I'm logged in from another device, so it's not there. So you know what? Let's do it with emojis or reactions. So what we're looking to understand is if people are comfortable coming back to in-person meetings, perhaps sometimes in June. So if you are a absolutely yes, as long as we're doing masking and social distancing, and this one is regardless of vaccination status. If you're an absolute yes, can you hit the wave emoji, the one that's on the far left? So on the bottom, you're going to see reactions. Ooh, sorry. Dogs and kids. I'm lucky that was all I. All right. So if you are a maybe on doing something like that, can you go ahead and hit the thumbs up for me?
Maggie, I was able to launch the poll. People are hitting buttons.
Oh, they are. See, but like, what is going on? It wouldn't launch for me.
It was up there for a minute.
Yeah, it's here. People are answering.
It's saying you're logged in from another device. Your polling session isn't active. So you know what? Just take the poll. Go ahead and take the poll, and I'll log the results later. We'll get them. We'll get them downloaded. And thankfully, I have co-hosts who can help me figure this out. But what I can say just from looking at all the hands that were up, people are semi-comfortable with coming back. And then the other thing is, you know, would you be more comfortable if everyone was vaccinated? Which I think would make a lot of us more comfortable, but we're trying to navigate how and if we do it that way.
And Maggie, if you don't mind me just adding, regardless of when we do have a public meeting, we will still have a virtual option for those of you who don't feel comfortable and want to stick with the virtual for a while. I kind of don't see us going back for that for a long time.
Yeah, I don't either. We're gonna. It makes it more convenient for everybody, and it allows us to record and be able to have the meeting ready for everyone or available to everyone who can't make it. So that's all I got. Anyone got anything else for the good of the club? All right.
13 responses. There's a few people missing.
All right.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. Done.
Cool. All right. We'll have a peek at those. Thanks, Lionel. Bye. Anyone? I'm gonna stop recording, and then anyone who wants to stick around and hang out for a minute, I'm prepared and I've been waiting. So feel free to stick around. I'm gonna go ahead.